This is a brief rundown of my live rig, as I call it. It is a no computer or DAW-less music production, jamming, practicing work environment. I did a lot of work on it this weekend, sort of reconfiguring it, setting it up to facilitate what I need to do. If I want to send a signal to my DAW, there's a cable that goes to the patch bay here. I could grab any signal I want from that. Right now it's just going to the Atom monitors. That signal comes from, of course, the Yamaha analog mixer. Nothing fancy about this. It has a digital reverb on it that I use for my vocals or sometimes for signals. I have a effect send going to this Eventide time factor, which I'm still learning how to use. I only got this recently from a friend. The line 2 is this metronome over here, which I will explain in detail in a minute. Lines 3 and 5 are submixes from these two little line level mixers here. I have mono signals and stereo signals. My sound synths and sound boxes largely go through those. This line here is my amp modeling, which is that line 6. I will explain my guitar rig in a different video, so I'm not going to go into it here, but the signal coming from, more or less coming from the line 6 goes in here. The MPC, the Tascam tape deck. Up next to my line level mixers is the mighty multi-track, sequential circuits multi-track. This is a 6 analog oscillator polyphonic synth. Thing sounds beautiful. You can get all kinds of great sounds out of it. It's not much of a tweaking synth since you have to program it through this matrix here, but analog filter, analog chorus, just a great, it's got an arpeggiator that I've barely used at all, if ever. I don't know, I'm so on my to-do list is learn the arpeggiator on this thing. But I use this synth all the time. For all kinds of sounds, both here and in my DAW. Below that, we have the MPC 1000 with the JJ OS2XL operating system upgrade. It also has a pad upgrade. I replaced the pads with the good pads. Whoa, that's sending MIDI out right now. I had an MPC-1 for a little while, and while I liked it for what I was using it for, I think it was more sampler than I needed. It is more sampler than I needed. So I sold that off also because I didn't like the black casing to it. It was really hard to read in dim light, and I work in dim light a lot. If I replace that again, and I'm not sure that I won't, I would get the light colored one, I guess the classic coloring. But I'm very familiar with this. I can do a lot with it. I'm just happy to have it back working again. I mostly use it for chopping up beats. I record samples from the various sound boxes into this if I find something I like, or from my guitar, I will record into this. Below that is a Novation Launchpad Pro. This is sort of a new addition to this whole setup. I got it for Bitwig and my DAW because I sold off my Live 2. This basically is sending MIDI out into the MPC. So I use this as just a MIDI keyboard. Right now it's driving that me blip, which I'll talk about in a second. is just sending the MIDI up to this, which is passing it through to my MIDI router. It's a Casio MIDI through box. I have the MPC and my MIDI clock going in, and I can switch what it's sending, which one's sending MIDI to which. The MIDI clock is this Midronome, which I hope I'm pronouncing right. It's a boutique MIDI clock with a metronome built into it. The metronome, like I said, is going to channel 2 here. But I use it to drive everything else. Now, the MIDI clock on this MPC is pretty solid in my experience. I'm not super anal about timing, but this one's pretty solid, and with the JJOS, you can do some pretty neat things with the MIDI out. I got this for other reasons, but I'm using it to drive everything. So this is my MIDI clock. You can start and stop it with this, with a foot pedal, which I have going. Put up the MPC. My other synths, there is a Moog Realistic ConcertMate MG1 that I restored myself. Took me a long time because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was much better at soldering at the time. I cleaned out all the foam that got stuck up in there from the original units. I put one mod that I did was I put the polyphonic tone generator through the filter. Now, I don't have this going into the mono submix. I send the output of this into this input selector between this and my guitar. I will explain the guitar rig in another video. The Moog is going through the amp. Next to the Moog is another Moog. This one is the Mother 32 and the Deep Fam semi-modular. I will be honest, I am not good at modular. This is probably the most modular synth I will ever own. I'm still learning how to do it 3 years after I got it, but I still use it quite a bit. There's a lot I like about it. I have nothing programmed in there now. The Me Blip behind the Novation Launchpad is a little digital synth that was created by, I think Peter Kern had a hand in it at Create Digital Music. It's a nifty little digital synth. It's not without its issues, but right now I'm driving it with the Launchpad. That goes into a digital delay. I have had some version of this digital delay since, I don't know, the late 90s. Not this exact one, but some version of it. So I have some nostalgia for it. It's a fine digital delay. Goes into the compressor. I could also take the Moog and send it into here if I want, just some repatching on this. Or I could swap this out for an analog delay if I wanted to. And then I think the last piece of this, well, no, I also have the Korg DDD5 digital drum machine. I got this for a specific project. It was like 60 bucks on eBay. I never finished the project. I probably will never attempt it, but I still kept this. I had the battery replaced in it. and it's fine. It's not super versatile. I don't know that this is going to stay here. For now, it's here because I have it. There's a couple things I got to replace it with, but I'm not going to get into that now. But it's fun. Super loud to program. And then the last thing is this Tascam 414 cassette recorder I bought off of a friend a couple years ago. Not super familiar with it. I had a different 4-track cassette recorder that I sold on eBay. Bought this one. I haven't experimented with tape loops yet. I'm not fully integrated, but I want to really increase my knowledge and familiarity with recording and sampling on this. That's it. I can record samples, create loops to play along with and practice, create loops and samples to record into the DAW. Just generally muck about with this. If you have any questions, contact me, I guess in the comments. I don't know where I'm going to put this. I don't know where I'm uploading this. I will do a rig rundown of my guitar rig presently.